I made this space really cozy with some hi-hats, but since it's on the first floor, I couldn't get up in the attic and drop some power. So here's how I had to do it. So we got the holes for the hi-hats. Now the problem is getting them onto a switch. We're gonna try to put it here. Bring a wire down from here, which I can't get to. So I'm gonna have to cut an access panel so that I could run my first wire here. Hoping I can get the wire down here and then through. But then I also have to rewire all of this spaghetti. Change this into a 3-gang box. There's going to be a 2x4 here and a 2x4 here, which means I'm going to have to chisel that out to fit that box. Okay, so I cut out the correct shape for the 3-gang. I'm going to have to cut into the wood here to make it fit. This is not structural. All right, there's half of it chiseled out. And we gotta get to this side. Drilled it first, and I'll chisel in order to get the new box in there. I gotta get a wire up from here through the header and over to here. I think my only shot is cutting an access hole here up through the header. First thing, I gotta make sure that this is hollow. If this is hollow, then I'm good. So here's the before. Hopefully my after will look invisible. My God. Great. Since I knew this area was hollow, I used a drill, drilled some pilot holes, and then used my jigsaw to cut an access hole. From here, it was super easy to push a wire up to the first light and down into the new box. Just had to figure out how to wire it up and put the switch back together, and we're good to go. Cut a patch roughly the same size, screw that patch in, and then we're gonna make it look like it was never there. All right, we got a couple of coats of spackle on there, but we're gonna stipple it a little bit to get a texture on it, like this wall has a texture. So we're gonna go wide with the texture and sort of blend it all in. Okay, now this is where the artistry comes in. Depending on what type of pattern you have there, you set the nozzle a certain way. I always mask off way more than I need because this stuff sprays out kind of crazy. So you don't want to spray just the patch, you want to spray past the patch. Okay, the other thing you want to do is shake it up super, super good and test it on something flat. Over here is perfect. See that? Kind of matches that. And once I pat this down, once it's dry, I kind of take a wet finger or a wet paper towel, tap it down so it gets to that level there. I did do a little more than I needed. But like I said, I'll come later with a damp something, fingertips, paper towel, and knock that down a little bit. Sometimes all I use is my finger. So I'm gonna wet it down a tiny bit. Very, very light wipe here. All right, and then I'm also gonna wipe these pretty See that? I want to get all of that off. I want this to blend in. I don't want that to be a hard line. I just raw dogged it with my fingertip. This seemed to work really well. Just kind of knock those bumps down. All right, there's that. Again, not painted yet. Versus that. So we're damn close. And we're gonna get rid of these hard lines here. Very simple. All right, so when you paint, you always want to get your roller covered with paint over a carpet, okay? Very important, you should always do that. I'm kidding. Let's see what we got. And you blend it into the old. And we'll see how it looks when it's dry. Okay, pretty much dried. Still a little bit wet, so you may see a little bit, but in general, it's done. Looks good.